Hello all. This is part of the Pencrest High School AP Physics 1 video series. This is going to lay out the expectations for submitted work. It may seem to you in a quantitative science like physics that the final answer is all that matters, but you have to understand that the process by which you get to the final answer is actually more important than the answer itself. That is according to the College Board, and that means according to us as well. For example, on the AP Physics 1 exam, the answer itself in a free response question might be worth 1 point, whereas the demonstration of the process used might be worth 4 points. So we need to get into the habit of demonstrating our process immediately. Much of the work you do in this course is going to be delivered through Webassign, which is our web-based homework platform. The platform allows us to randomize data such that each student has different answers. Webassign will provide you with instant feedback, in particular on homework, such that you will know that your answer is correct or incorrect right away. In order to get credit, however, you have to demonstrate the process that led you to that answer, and this is what we mean when we say you have to show your work, which you will hear a lot. Regarding homework and classwork, the answers that you record in Webassign will tell you and us that your process was correct, but that process must be demonstrated and submitted within Schoology on the due date in order for you to receive credit for that homework or classwork. If you're doing an assignment and something is going wrong, Webassign tells you that your answer is incorrect. You don't know why. That's where we come in as teachers. However, if your work is not shown, there's no way for us to know what you're doing wrong. By way of example, here is a hypothetical scenario that has occurred many times. A student comes up to the desk and says, I don't know why 6B is wrong. I'm doing it right. Teacher says, let me see your work. Student says, well, I did it on my calculator. Teacher says, this is not gonna do, right? So this is gonna be our reaction if you come up and say, I did it on my calculator. When you're making a calculation or doing an algebraic manipulation, the steps you take have to be shown in a neat, sequential, and orderly fashion. We will show you the calculation type here because it presents as a new concept for most people. In problems of this type, we are provided with some data, information that's given in the problem statement, and then we're asked to calculate or solve for a particular quantity. So proper work shows the following. It shows the formula that's being used. It shows the data substituted into the formula. Data includes units. And then the final answer, also with units. So in this particular problem, hypothetically happens to be 4B. We have the initial and the final velocity. We have the time interval. We need to calculate the acceleration of the object in this interval. The work looks like this. This is material that we're going to learn later, so don't worry if the symbols don't mean much to you yet. That's on its way. So we have the formula. Here's the formula here. A equals V minus V naught over T. And then here is the same formula with the data substituted in. This is my final velocity. Notice that it includes units, meters per second, minus the initial velocity, which also includes units, and then divided by the time. And then here is my final answer, 4.24 meters per second squared. So once again, we need to include the formula. We need to include the data substituted in with units, and then the circled final answer. Okay? Notice that this work is clearly associated with question 4B. It is sequential, it is orderly, it's not spread all over the page, it doesn't run sideways up the margin, it's not sloppy, it's not illegible. The data provided includes units every single time. Get into the habit of doing it right now, and you won't have to break bad habits later. So now we're going to show you some examples of acceptable and unacceptable work. Since we'll be submitting handwritten work electronically, this is going to require taking a picture of your work and uploading it into Schoology. Needless to say, your instructor needs to be able to read the work that you upload, not only in terms of its organization and its neatness, but also the quality and the layout of the photo. Your name and the title of the assessment should be visible on the page when you take an image and upload it. So here's an example of nice work. It's neat, it's clean, sequential, easy to follow. Everything's clearly labeled. The image doesn't cut off any of the work, so it all can be seen. It's all in focus. The image is oriented vertically, not sideways. All right, so we want portrait style, not landscape. This is also nice work. Not quite as neat, but it is sequential. It is easy to follow. Everything is labeled, and everything that's necessary is included. Okay. Now this one, we have some issues with this work. First of all, it doesn't include the formula. We've got some data substituted in, but we don't have formulas. The work is a little sloppy. It's a little hard to read. The image is unfocused. It's foggy and fuzzy. There is also a very prominent shadow that is distracting. So these are things that you would like to avoid. This work, no name on the page. It's very sloppy. It's not sequential. Different parts of the problem are not differentiated. You shouldn't be crossing things out in submitted work. We should take the picture so that the entire page is in focus. Don't hold the phone at an angle. Hold it directly above your paper so that everything is at the same distance from the lens. Okay. Here's a few transgressions that should not appear in your submitted work. One, you should not have anything crossed out. Two, there should be no doodling, scribbling, or margin artwork. Save the artwork for art class. No offensive language, no inflammatory messages. 4, no mismatched or bogus work. The data in your expressions and the answers should match what is issued in your Webassign problem. If they don't match, that means that you are guilty of an academic integrity violation, and then we have a major problem. So let's avoid that. And finally, number 5, no games. Don't try this thing where you submit an image of a blank piece of paper thinking that we're not going to look at it and just give you credit. That will really get you into hot water. So something else to avoid. And finally, if you feel that you need further clarification on what constitutes acceptable work, please ask. Better to know ahead of time than to learn the hard way by having your grade take a hit. So that is all. If you need to refer back to this presentation at any time, it'll be in the resources folder. See you again soon.